scooch this down just a little bit. I think it's like 20, 25 minutes after 5. Wanted to pop on and do a really quick live. I'm not going to be on just a couple minutes. I don't have a lot of phone battery either. Look like I'm favored, but I put on blush and it's a new color and I don't really think it likes me. I don't know. We'll see. Still got my cowlick bangs rocking, trying to get used to my new haircut, and they won't lay quite right because they're cowlicking where I cut my hair. But anyway, I've got a lot to do, and today has not been the day to do it because I've just been tired. I've been staying up late with the wood stove, keeping the fire going. It's been super cold here in our area, and I plan on sleeping really good tonight to make up for it. It's going to stay right at the freezing point tonight, not too bad. So the last few nights we've been down 10 to 15, and I've just stayed up, kept the house warm, and just crocheted. And y'all know that David buys me yarn, and I'm a crafter. I have to craft to stay sane, and he spends a lot of money on me when he buys me this yarn. And so anytime that when he spends a lot of money on me, if I can make something somebody likes and he can toss in his Etsy store and sell it, he's like, oh, I recouped some yarn money. So I've still got to lint roll this little guy before I mail him. But last night I sat and I made this little right here for Samantha, for Sam. And I did give him a little butt. These little cats are very similar to the Annie Caraway pattern loaf cats. I give them a little smirk too. And they're very cute. They're very kind of therapeutic to make. There's only about 10 rows you have to pay attention to. And the rest you can just kind of enjoy the time you spend with them. Just a really cute, just pretty quick little pattern. You can do this while you're watching a movie. And I sat down last night and was watching the stove and watching TV, and before I knew it, this little guy had magically appeared. And I played Yarn Chicken, so I only had a little bit of the black left over. So I have effectively now used all the black for the Bjorn cats that I did for Sabrina and the one lady that ordered one. So this finished up that black. I have very little left that I'm probably just going to use for facial expressions and other plushies now. So, but I love these little guys. They're so cute. And I gave him those little safety eyes, but then I embroidered around them so they pop on the black, because black on black, you have to give him some to make his little expression pop. Oh, everybody's already popped in. Hey, Ashley. Sam, 7. Sal's in here. Yeah, I like the Bernat blanket yarn, and then the white is the loops. Is it loops and threads? Loops and teddies? Anyway, it's very soft. The white's very, very soft, and the Bernat, I always like Bernat blanket. It's usually it's a good firm yarn that's not going to wear on you very quickly, and it's huggable. It's nice. So I love these little cats. You can do them in like every color. A lot of people make them in strange colors. And they're just super cute. It's an adorable little pattern. This is a beginner level pattern. They're really sweet, really cute. I used a tighter hook on the face until like this row right here, so it looked like then his fur kind of poofed and it gives some definition to his little face. And it worked really well. And I toyed with the thought of putting a nose right there as well and doing a smaller mouth, but they don't look right if you don't have the big X there. And so I left them alone. Your cat keeps getting the lizard. It's funny. Well, maybe I knew that the cat needed the lizard to play with. I don't know. Honestly, if the cat wants to play with lizard, just pop out those safety eyes and let the cat play with it. Because once the safety eyes are removed, it's just like a cat toy. So a lot of people do get specific crochet type toys for their pets because they're less toxic and less of a safety hazard than a lot of the toys they sell at stores today. So got Colin in here. We've had several people in here, and I know that y'all are seeing names that you just don't recognize or new names, and that's okay, y'all. We get people that come in. Some people have had a curiosity created about me with some of the drama that's been going on in the. Well, there's really no drama in the Synergist community, but the drama that happened regarding Sabrina breaking from the research group that she was in, and you must name your research group. It was just like like-minded people doing the same thing. Anyway, she didn't want to be in there anymore. And a lot of people have heard about me through that. And so they pop up here and they want to know what I'm about. And I'm in such a bad shadow place of this light, but we're just going to deal with it. I'm also translucent today. It's a special day. I'm not feeling that great today. But they pop in and they want to see what I'm all about. That's fine. They can sit, chill, interact. It doesn't bother me at all. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I'm an open book. If y'all been here for a little while, y'all know that. And a lot of people that come over here with antagonistic ideas, they end up staying and becoming actually a pretty good group member. And they kind of catch on that we're just a family over here. And we share a lot of ideas and we try to be polite and calm. Sometimes we have to talk about things in a rather pointed manner, but we move on from them rather quickly because we don't dwell in unhealthy spaces. Candles setting the vibe. I have so many candles in my house. You would not. I mean, so many candles in my house. I have bobcat. I have like so many bobcats in my house too. So many bobcats in my house. And I'm in the kitchen dining room. We small house, lots of crap. So you're sitting in your cold car, Colin. Bless your heart. The Whitakers that guy helped for a long time, I used to kind of keep up with them because it was just kind of like a case study as to like the worst case scenario and the worst of that. How do you put this? The worst of the. I don't know how to put. I don't know because he truly wanted to help them, and he tried to set up ways to help them. But when someone has been in a certain mindset or they have limitations on how they understand things, then they can't appropriately use aid. Does that make sense? And so they didn't understand how to use the aid that was offered to them because they have a lot of limitations themselves. And then people were pushing the man to provide more aid. And then sadly, family members that had specific issues or substance issues started to then use the family as a financial game plank. Even faking a family member's death to get funeral funds that was used for drug purchases. And he's talked about all that on his page before. But I haven't followed him closely in a while. It kind of is one of those things that I was terribly interested in. Then it kind of went the way I anticipated, and I was like, eh. And I check him every once in a while, but I haven't in a long time. Really? That poor family has been like, at the first time I saw where the guy was helping him, I thought he was potentially taking advantage of them as well. And it kind of irritated me until I saw that he kind of had a vested interest and was making, multiple trips annually to check on them, to improve the quality of their home, to make sure that, they had a weatherized home, a new roof, new windows, some siding, everyone was safe, they had clothing. And the quality of their living environment did improve a great deal. And so I was like, okay, well, this guy actually does really care. I know I don't have time for it either. That's why people's like, why don't you talk more about it? And I'm like, why? So I'm like, why? And it's sad because if you go over there, they're just like keeping it going. And so much they'll come and watch my lives thinking I'm keeping it going. And I'm like, there's so much more important things going on in the world than ego. And I didn't take grown people on the internet to raise. So I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about, which is hence why you start your own channel. But I mean, it's fine. If they want to be here, they can. But I really watched it and I really was wondering who was being advantageous initially, because you know how some people will start these pages and they really milk sad stories. And so you kind of sit back and you go, who's helping who? And I really think he wanted to help this family. He obviously wanted to also do his filming and tell this story and, share his perspective. But I think he did a good job of helping them and trying to vet out to make sure that they were sending appropriate monies on appropriate things and helping them kind of say where their money needed to go and allocate funds. And sadly, a lot of people just began taking advantage of them. That's okay, Ashley, honey. You do what you need to do. You're fine. People do. Sadly, some people do. Oh, this is not a real candle. It's a rechargeable fake candle. I don't, because I have that little epileptic dog. If I'm burning a real candle, it's like one that Sabrina has brought me when she's visited, or it's a special holiday one, or one that her friends bought me, and I only burn one. So, but I love candles, and because we have bad weather in the winter, I keep rechargeable candles. So if we have, because normally we have an ice storm every few years, that we go for like 3 to 7 days without electricity. It's normal. So I keep a lot of rechargeable candles that can be plugged into USB or into vehicles to recharge, because it's how you see to go to the bathroom and crap when the electricity's out. I have probably a dozen or so of these sprinkled through my house for the winter, just in case electricity goes out. I love them. They're my thing. I love a cozy home at night, but I don't want to go around and blow out 15 candles, or I have to be responsible for them. So I keep all these rechargeable ones, and they're great. Like, they're very pretty. They're very pretty. I don't do patterns. Who is that? Is that Jakey? Jakey? I can see a little bit better today, Jakey. Um, it's just, if I do the tribal stuff, I stay toward either the sinew or the faux sinew. I always do a wood rayon. I don't throw in a lot of synthetic materials. Anything that I can put on that's natural, I will use natural over anything that's faux. Then if I do more of the tribal or natural, I use the bone, the fur, and then some people want a dream catcher, but they don't want the bone and the fur. So that's what I call a non-native, or a frillier, girlier, dressed up dream catcher. And I'll use some ribbons. I try to stay with like some cotton, or some natural fibers that have been like hand tatted or something. But I'll throw some flowers on there, and maybe some embroidery, dress it up a little bit. And then some people just want a purely decorative one, and a lot of people that don't want like a pure dream catcher, they actually want the metal rounds, which I detest, but people want them. And those I like to cross those to make just like a little cage to put a little flower arrangement with trailing vines and ribbons in. Those are pretty, but I haven't made one of those in a long time. But yeah, the Whitakers, yeah, it's kind of like you watch their story and you're like, did it better them or did it worsen them? It improved them financially, but how did it do them mentally, emotionally? We can see the physical improvements, especially in a lot of them's health, but it's like, what did we lose here and what did we gain? And did it balance out, or should it not have been done? And those are always questions when you step in and augment someone else's existence in a way that they cannot do so themselves. You have to be concerned with what changes you're creating and the long-term effects of those changes. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if I ever burn a candle, I'm burning it for a specific reason, and I'm one at a time. It's a friend sent it to me, Sabrina's brought it to me, or there's like a reason. I'm like having a chill day and burning a candle and setting the yeah. But with that epileptic dog, y'all remember when I first got her, she climbed my quilt rack like a ladder and was perched on top of my quilt rack, which was as high as my ceiling, just sitting up there like, yo, nice view up here, yo, whoa. And I was like, dog. So we have to be very careful with little Miss Lulu here. So my hair is having a cowlick day. It's being aggressive today. Yeah, it's not actual candle. It's just one of those LED rechargeable things. Yeah, I love them at night though, and I can leave the morning. They'll stay on for a few hours after kind of the house chills out. And so if I have to walk through the house to do anything, I don't have to turn on any of the lights and wake myself up any more than I don't want to be woken up. I love them because I've got them all programmed, and they come on and go off on their own. Yeah, they're really pretty. You can get like 3 for $16, and I've had some for like 3 years now that are doing great. I still buy from Temu some things. If it's cheaper than Amazon or the best price, or I can get a better bulk rate. Yes, although I found some things are more, even though it probably comes from the same warehouse, some things Amazon will give you a better price on. And then there's certain things that I have to go to Etsy and eBay, or to like personal people that I know that create the items for, like, some of the really weird stuff that I have, that I need certain bone stuff, and I want certain bone carvings for necklaces, or I have ideas about a jewelry drop that I need a certain bone bead for, and my hands don't do that. That work is very sensitive and delicate, and so I have not really replaced Curtis yet. I miss him so much. But I've used a few vendors and a few people that I've met, and I still haven't found the quality or consistency I'm looking for, especially in the way that they bore the bead so that it's always consistent. Um, Maybe I will one day. I don't know. Right now, I'm leaning to where I'm making a lot of my own stuff, and just getting really creative. Really creative, because I'd rather it come from me. If it's not going to be exactly what I want for you, at least then it can at least be made by me. Does that make sense? Because if I can't get exactly what my vision is, then I'm just going to make it myself. And you're going to get at least something made with good intentions, whether it's pretty or not. Uh, there's a there's a specific type that has the flame in there it's made out of a wax that looks like a real flame, and the candle really looks like a wax candle that's burning down. And it's really nice. I don't like the ones that have the hard plastic flame in the middle. I don't like those at all. Heather's everywhere. After General Hospital. Oh my gosh, that took me back. I used to watch Granny's stories with her when I'd stay with Granny. Hi, Janae. I still not crazy. I've had a lot of. I grew up with a lot of Heathers. I guess that was a popular name when because I'm a 78 model, so I think that was just a popular name through the 80s. That because I had a lot of Heathers in school with me and right after me, and I think it probably was because of Heather Locklear. Honestly, probably, but I really wanted to share this guy with you. I'll have to let real him, and really good. I like his little butt too. But he turned out really cute. And like I said, the original Love Cat pattern is by Amy Caraway. This lady that I bought this from, I can't remember her name. She has a couple of color patterns that are different, that aren't really like purely just cat, but they're kind of done. Like one has a ring around the tail here and a ring around the ear. And it's kind of like a design aspect. And I like that. So I bought her pattern. But these are terribly simple. And honestly, most people could probably look at it and figure out how to make it. But like if you're a beginner and you want to make amigurumi, then I would say the Annie Caraway loaf cat pattern is probably the best place to start. And because it's really kind of sit down, watch a movie, zone out kind of thing, and I like it. So once you've done a couple of them, you're like, oh yeah, and your hands just kind of make them. So it's kind of nice. Back to dream pictures. I don't do like patterns, but that's why I try to show you as much as I show you of what I do, because literally, if you want to make your own, you can. Just be aware of the wood you use. How to cut it, and cut it when the sap's down so you don't harm the plant, the tree. And understand that you need to bend the initial frame right then and let it dry, and then you can kind of augment it a little bit for a number of weeks after that. And just use natural materials. You can, if you don't have the faux sinew or the waxed twine, you can use jute, cotton. Be careful with the sewing twines; they will cut your hands really easily. But you can use yarn. Bamboo yarn weaves really well, as long as you just kind of be careful with it so you don't fray it too much. Um, Jute weaves okay. You just kind of have to burn the fuzzies off after you do it. Be careful. But you can make it. You can make them out of almost anything. Some are made out of like found objects and grass string, and they're gorgeous. They're super gorgeous. A lot of people make their frames out of grapevine, which is very aesthetic. But I was always taught to make them out of some form of willow. So I don't veer from that because that's how I was taught. Hey, Sally. David's still coughing. Can you hear him? He's better. I guess the whole workplace was like decimated by whatever has been going through it. So they've had a that he's watching trapping channels, and that's coyotes yipping. I'm sorry, but it's what we hear around here anyway. But I guess the whole workplace has been decimated by, apparently it's a strain of the flu that they're not particularly testing for, but that they didn't think would make it here from Australia because they based the flu vaccine on whatever shows up in Australia, and they say it travels that way. I'm gonna call it bogus. If you read the book, the Invisible Rainbow with about Dr. Arthur Furstenberg, you know that they named influenza because they, over the globe, when they paid attention to it, when it was, they noticed that it only show up every 10 to 20, 30 years, and it was influenced by the patterns in the stars. So when certain stars would be in certain places, they would see this. And so they named it influenza, which said influenced by the stars. And I've been paying more and more attention to that. And they also found out that a lot of the cold seasons and influenza seasons are also dictated by the solar flares, EMF. A lot of the, I guess, the magnetism of the earth and the pull of a lot of the solar and lunar issues on the earth dictate a lot of not only the weather, but our health. And then we've got electricity jammed in there as well because it's a natural occurring thing. So it's very interesting. And yes, we need to get back to reading that book. And why have I slowed down? I slowed down because I've been busy. My eyes have been really, really, really bad for a long time now. I've had a lot of other stuff to deal with, a lot of health issues between me, mom, and dad to deal with. Holidays, that was broken foot. That was great. And I'm trying to, number one, read it for myself, and then compost, make notes, and tell you all the important parts. Well, there's a lot of important parts. And so if I don't feel well, it really puts me off wanting to read it because I want to read it for myself. But then I know if I read it for myself, I want to immediately tell you what I found. And then it creates a half-day issue for me where I'm reading, then rereading, taking notes, creating kind of a dictation order for them so that you understand it and get it the easiest way possible. And so I'm saying, I just want to read 3 pages, but it's going to take me 4 hours of work if I read 3 pages. So it's turned me down. And then I've had a lot of people when I stopped reading, even though when I said I'm getting sick, there's another girl that's read this. She does have a dialect. I have a dialect, but she has one too. And it's somewhat difficult to understand her, but you can once you get used to her. And she reads it chapter by chapter on YouTube. Just search for The Invisible Illness by Arthur Furstenberg, and it'll pop up. And you can listen to her if you want to get ahead or read it, at your own pace. No one did that. But everybody emailed me and said, when are you going to start doing this? I need to know more. The information's out there, people. And I mean, you don't even have to purchase anything. You just got to go and Google or search on YouTube the name of the book. And that kind of irritated me because when I was going through so much, it was like people were like demanding I stop and focus on this right here. And I was like, that's not where my focus is right now. I mean, it's very important. I think it's a wonderful book and everybody should read it. And when I read it, I do want to share it with y'all. But when you get to the place where you start to tell me what to do, I sit back like a mule and I go the other way. And it's not because I don't want to help you. It's because I'm not enabling you. And you don't come here to get your information. You come here to get my opinion on the information, and you get notes to take to form your own opinion. But you don't come here to be fed things. You need to feed yourself. You need to go and research. You need to pick up books. You need to read science journals. You need to read about testing on drugs and everything else. And you need to read about the genetic augmentation that was done, just starting on cow's milk and in Russia. I mean, and just start reading about these things. And the failures they've had and the successes and how minimal they've been and how many mess ups they've made trying. But there are some things you need to read it and put it into your own brain and acquire it yourself, because then it will mean more and it will make more sense and it will stick harder. And so it kind of irritated me. So I thought, well, I'm definitely taking it in my own pace, because I'm not going to get into a habit of where I feel pressured to do something because people that have way more energy and time and good health than me are going to dictate my existence, because that's just not going to happen. That's just how I am. Yeah, it's very hard to balance for someone that has any kind of illness or neuromuscular disorder. It's life struggle is struggle. And so I'm doing the best I can. I push buttons because I hate this new format. Yeah, and you see the 7 pure here. The side effect of even lower level mutation poisoning, any kind of augmentation or defect created, no matter how minute, you don't know how it's going to then be passed on and naturally just normal biological function changed, altered, and pushed into forward, future generations. So by doing all this, by sticking your panties in the puddle, you can create a ripple that you can't undo, and that could potentially create irreversible damage to an entire species. And so that's why the scientists that like Fauci that get this big head and I would never call him a scientist. I would call him just somebody that got tenure because he just got a job and never left. But anyway, I just don't trust those people because there are certain places that we need to be more careful, and there are certain things that you should not look to change or alter because there's no reason to. So I know most of my subs know that I've got to focus on me, but a few people, there's a few people in every crowd that get a little dogmatic and a little hateful, and I just kind of go, yeah, we're going to take smaller bites for a while just to pace y'all. And that's normally what I do. A digital copy of which one? Now, yeah, the college textbook that Sabrina reads from, the red one that blows everybody's mind, she left it with me for a few weeks. Well, a few months actually. And I read that and it felt so stupid. Like the first thing when I handed it back to her, I said, I feel so stupid when I read this. Because number one, it's been there for how long? Number two, there's really simple concepts in there that you can read. Like you'll read 15 pages and it'd be just a garble crap that most people won't really care about. But then you'll read 3 sentences in like every 4 or 5, 10 pages rather, that will rock your world. And then you understand that because it is good information, you do know you need to proceed. But because you're human and you're only getting like a 10% return, you can see that you're like, is it worth my time? But it's worth your time. And then you see the internal struggle and how easy it is to be lazy as a human being. And so I learned a lot just from the act of reading that book. And she left several with me, so I had to really like skim read is what I call it. But that one really got me because the first thing I said when I handed it back to her, I said, this makes me feel so stupid, because it was a complete gotcha moment for me to know that it had been out there that long. That information was just so right there in your face. Anybody can have it. You can get it free in PDF form, like they're saying in the chat. And it had, it was a lot to take in, but there was very clear, in your face information that you just went, so you might be like, what am I reading? What am I reading? And then you go, oh, holy crap, that's what the last 4 pages meant, because they come to like a culmination. And then you go back and be like, oh crap, that's what that meant, And so it was terribly enlightening, but you can also see the lazy streak in yourself. So you can see the lazy streak within all of humanity, and you see why there's so many people that put important things down and don't pick them back up. And it was just like, yeah, and I understand that's why a lot of people don't read stuff on their own or go other places for information. But that's also why I say it's so important to do it yourself. You learn at your own pace, you absorb at your own pace. It's much more easily recalled. You get that cognitive retention, and you really kind of create a snapshot of information in your mind that you can share with others just on total recall. And you just can make so much more sense of it. You can apply it so much more easily. So it's desperately necessary to research for yourself. Yeah, Sabrina makes me feel stupid a lot. She's got a superpower, and it's making me feel stupid a lot. I don't know if anyone caught Candace yesterday, but Candace Owens spoke Sabrina's name.
All right.
And I don't know if that was a good thing or bad thing yet. I tell Sabrina, just tell the truth. Always keep your concern for people. What's she doing?
She might attack the TV.
Oh, he's got Cody's on the TV, and Linda's acting like she's going to attack the TV. Hilarious. But so Candace Owens, yes, yesterday yesterday. I think it's toward the end of the show. I just got the clip. I felt yesterday like I wanted to watch it, and I had some specific concerns about Candace Owens yesterday. It was rolling around in my head a lot with the Kirk issues, a lot of the Israel and anti-Semitic stuff that's being spouted, and a lot of the turns she's made in perception and kind of like historical context since she went to the Catholic. Since she's joined Catholicism, there's no scientific way to say that. I was going to say to the Catholic side of the fence, but she's a Catholic now. So there's been a lot of kind of kiss your butt curves that she has exhibited to me in the last several months. So I've kind of been, okay, I'm going to watch you, but I'm going to watch you from over here. And so I've been doing that. And so when she said her name, number one, I'm extremely proud that Sabrina is making a difference in so many people's lives, that they are sharing her and getting more people to go back and look at her information. That's great. First thing I said to Sabrina was, of course she's going to pick up on this because you're the superpower on the subject. Of course they're going to bring your name and she's going to bring it up. You are like the case study in point. And I said, every time someone in one of those parameters says your name, you need to kind of withdraw a little bit and protect yourself a little bit more. And just take a step back and make sure you're putting up better and stronger fences because you're getting into deeper and thicker woods. And, but the last thing I told her, was shine, diamond, shine. And when she gets really upset because people don't want to hear her intellectual information because they ridiculed her for being stupid. They were like, you're stupid. You can't talk right. You don't talk language. You don't talk human. And it was actually their ineptitude where they couldn't really understand what she was saying because she's up here and they were down here. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. Just her brain clicks up here and mine's way down here, and it takes me a while to catch up with her, but I don't get mad at her about it. But most people, when they, when they run into an intellect, they go, you think you're something. They normally don't. It's just that their brain runs up here. And one of the most profound ways we see that is with the way that our society treats autistic individuals. You can see that there because they are not quite social savvy, but they are very, very, very prominent and proficient members of society that bring a lot to the plate when it comes to research and science and studies, and they're very important to us. Their brains, you just look at Temple Grandin for 5 minutes and you'll realize how important they are to our society. And but a lot of people don't like them and they don't want to like them because they are different. Because humanity likes things that make us, we flock to things that makes us comfortable. And because there's this thing called the uncanny valley. And so when we run into something that we process as human, but it doesn't act like us or what we think humans should act like, it sets us in this, what they call the uncanny valley. Scientists have never been able to basically describe that any more than that, but everybody's uncanny valley is kind of a personal uncanny valley. If you want to get into the rabbit hole, you can just research uncanny valley. And so what you're uncomfortable with, maybe here and somebody else maybe here, but there'll be an overlap. And so what the overlap, as far as scientists can really research and study out at this point, is just that if it appears to be human, but the less it feels human, like the closer we look, it sets us on this uncanny valley. A lot of people who meet people that do not process emotions or have certain social behaviors, they put those people in the uncanny valley. And that's one of those perceptions that I think we've kind of gravitated toward to a society as we have created a social media society, and rather than a physical society where we interact on a physical existence plane, and we're in this box. So I think it's something that we are inhibiting in ourselves because we're getting more. We ostracize people more and more when we bump into them in real life, and they have these specific quirks about them. We'll almost accept anything here, but what it has done is we'll accept it here because this is a safe place. But in society, we have become more like our hackles go up because we have a safe place now. We don't have to like police anything. Then we go out into society, we police everything more. But we also spend more time here, so we're losing our skills to be, have interpersonal relationships. So good night, Sam. Kitty says good night, and he will see you in a few days. But you need to read about the uncanny valley. I think a lot of people react to these cats in much of the same way, and that is a lot of people either love this pattern or hate this pattern. And it is because some people see one thing, which I'm sure y'all can laugh at, and other people see other things. Some people think it's cute, and some people can't stand that it characterizes a cat in such a stupid manner. I think they're adorable. I think you can make anything adorable, and it's just like you just voice how you feel about it before you ostracize somebody based on just be like when I perceive this, it makes me feel in this way, and people will talk to you about what you're going through. You don't have to be rude about it. Because Sabrina's awesome. Yeah, autistic people, they just think different, and we need them. We need them. Their brains are so it's at a place where, how can I say this? Emotional intelligence gets reduced enough so that true intelligence becomes very clear. And that's an uncomfortable place for a lot of people because we are normally more comfortable with huge emotional outbursts than we are with huge intellectual outbursts. Think about that for 5 seconds. A scientist comes into a room, pushes his glasses up, and begins talking on a theorem that you can't understand. You sit back there and go, I don't like him. He lives in a different world. He doesn't understand real people. True. You'll believe and you'll clearly dislike this person. Just because, emotional intelligence and it's funny. But we are like, look what's going on in Minnesota right now. They have gotten us so used to emotional outbursts, and it's a comfort place for so many people that now we can watch stuff like this and completely justify irrational behaviors because we're more comfortable with irrational emotional behaviors than we are with logic. Like, there's a man that's a killer in his nation that illegally entered your nation and wants to reside there unfettered. We're going to remove him. He's a danger. Some people can't logically accept that, and they're like, but he's a human. You can't hurt him. Don't hurt him. And so we get into this huge place again where the two coincide, and people are polarized because one's more comfortable with the emotional behavior that they elicit with that response, and others are more, comfortable with the intellectual. And you got to, autistic people go, well, we see him as a human, but he has errors in his behavior which must be dealt with. And legally, he is a criminal. And they're like, okay, so we catch him and we deal with his issues. Yeah. And it is, and they don't get emotionally attached at all. And I'm like, thank you. Yes. Poor man, he made bad decisions. I hope he makes better ones, and we move on. But a lot of people get so emotional in that, and they have created this emotional drive because when you're emotional, you basically close down every other part of your brain. And that's the only thing running, and it's running at top speed, and you can't stop it, and you're not going to make good decisions, and it just messes you up. You lower your IQ by at least 30 points, I swear. Because you cannot think for the longevity of the issue and think through the true complexity of the issue, because you have pinpointed to one issue, which is about what 0.01% of the true issue. How you feel about it, that really has no bearing. So we see how useful they are because of how we see society has gone hyper emotional lately. Oh, I need to shut up. Okay, they're going live. I thought they were. Yes. Oh, I talked for 30 minutes faster than I thought I would. Go support Booma. Go talk to Sabrina. Get in the chat. I will try to be in there for a few minutes as well. And I will see you on the next time. We'll start with another chapter of the book too. Thank you again, Sam. Go support Booma and Sabrina. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. I talked so fast for 30 minutes.